not a game, it's a rich thing.
What's up, y'all? It is Tasha. Welcome back to my channel. We are back for another review of Married at First Sight, season 15, episode 4. If you are new here, welcome. Come on in, join the family, hit that subscribe button. We like to comment in the comment section down below. If you are not new, welcome on back to the craziness of Married at First Sight, y'all. We're going to jump right into the episode because y'all already know these episodes long enough, which makes the reviews very long. So let's not do the small talk and let's just jump right in. All right. So the 4 couples have now gotten married and they're getting some alone time now that the weddings are all over. We see Kristen. She's just rumbling through her bag trying to find her PJs that she apparently forgot to pack. Mitch is like, well, I even forgot to pack PJs altogether. So, I mean, you're not in this alone. Mitch continues to say he can't force anything. He has to be really true to himself because, of course, you know, he never moves this fast. And I'm like, well, obviously, Mitch, people just don't get married at first sight every day. So moving this fast is not the norm. Okay, sir? They get ready for bed, and Mitch, I'm like, you should finally be happy that you get to see her natural, because that's what you've been complaining about this entire time. They both are hella awkward getting into the bed. She asks to kiss him on the cheek. He says yes, and then they go to sleep. So Miguel and Lindy, they're now getting ready for bed. And of course, Lindy has to ask for help with her dress. And at this point, I'm like, is it in the contract that the ladies have to ask for help from for their dress? I mean, no offense, but they've been single for a long time. I know how to get back there and zip a dress up halfway, pull it up and reach. Like, we know how to maneuver something. So it just seems like, do y'all just have to ask for help with your dress so that they can show this part at Married at First Sight? I think so at this point. So Miguel just takes off his suit, child. He jumps right on into bed. He says, we'll probably just talk. And then if conversation leads to sex, so be it. And I was like, sex when neither one of y'all have showered? Can we not start the marriage off like that? I would really, really appreciate it. She's tearing up her luggage in the bathroom, trying to find her toiletries. They watch as the clock is 5 minutes, it's 10 minutes, it's 20 minutes, it's 30 minutes. She is taking forever to get all her toothpaste, makeup remover, everything that she needs to find out of her bags. Like, girl, is getting to be a bit much. She starts stressing about it a little bit. Miguel says under normal circumstances, this might have been a red flag, but you know, because her anxiety is just so heightened over something so small. But you know, they're kind of married, so it's hard to just run away at this point. But they kiss and they go to bed as well. So next up is Stasha and Nate. Stasha showers, of course she is, and Nate just hops on in the bed, child. Of course he does, and of course he would be down for the sex of it all. She wants to cuddle. They get in bed. She asks what his expectations are of a wife. And he says just to be supportive and understanding and a best friend, because of course looks may fade, but best friends last forever. Okay. They kiss, and while I don't think they will go all the way on the first night, I'm sure they had a complete makeout session, okay, when them cameras went away. We are now on day 1 of marriage. All the married couples are waking up, and at this point I'm like, so when are we going to get this last wedding? When are we going to get this show on the road? Because we really can just drop them in here at any point. We're not watching this live as it is happening Married at First Sight. We could have just, you know, put up on the screen 2 weeks later and just drop these in with all the other weddings. But here we are, y'all. Kristen and Mitch wake up and he is shocked she slept with her wedding ring on. And she's like, yeah, I'm never taking this off. I'm like, Mitch, what did you expect her to do? Like, this guy just has something to say about everything, okay? She says he's a great guy, and she is really optimistic. I'm like, he's a great guy, and you haven't known him for 24 hours. Just wait, Kristen. Just wait, darling. They shared that they did not get it popping last night, and they start to eat breakfast. Mitch says he is somewhat a picky eater and kind of basically acts like a toddler. She asks how he is feeling. They both say that things are going pretty well. He says, you know, I was a little bit nervous, and then once I saw you, I was like, okay, we can work with this. Mitch, once again, you are not the hottest thing on the meat market, so I'm going to need you to pipe down. So Lindy and Miguel says waking up to each other feels very natural, and they just have natural chemistry and natural spark with one another. She says she got married at first sight for someone exactly like Miguel. And I'm just trying to figure, so what would that be exactly that's like him? Because y'all haven't known each other a full 24 hours. You haven't really talked that much because, of course, the whole wedding, friends and family of it all. So what is exactly like him means? I'm going to refrain from any additional comments, but I'm just going to throw that question out there. Let me know what y'all thoughts are in the comments below. He asks what kind of traveler she is, and she says, I got to have snacks. So I got to maintain my blood sugar. Sleep is important. And she says, if I just, start getting all anxious or whatever, that I just need you to help calm me down. And I'm just like, that would drive me crazy. And I'm sure Miguel is going to get sick and tired of that very quickly. Okay. So Stasha and Nate are up and they're eating breakfast. She says on a scale of 1 to 10, her husband is well over a 10. He is 100, girl. And I said, Nate must be one of these people that look much better in person than he does on TV. Because I said, girl, 10 where? 100 where? It ain't my husband, so okay. He asks what is her biggest insecurity, and she says she's a good communicator, but there have been breaks in communication, so she doesn't know if she's doing everything that the person needs. And then when that happens, she tends to start pulling away. Nate says that he feels misunderstood because his dad was in the military, so of course he was, a military kid and just moved around a lot. So because of all the moving, he was isolated a lot. He says when they finally moved to the States, he was in a predominantly black neighborhood and he got picked on when the fact that he was lighter. And she basically says the same thing happened to her. Only thing is she went to a predominantly white school, so she felt like she kind of wasn't good enough on either side, which I had to give the side eye because I believe Stasha is just light skinned. She's not biracial, so I'm not sure why you would feel like you don't know where to fit in at a white school. You might be light skinned, but you black. Girl, okay. Anyway, Nate says that it's getting better, but sometimes he gets in his head and he just needs a nudge from her to get out of it. And y'all, I don't know if it was just me, but I felt like in this moment, Nate was just trying to say something that he felt was like low key deep. And I was just not buying it. It just did not feel authentic and genuine to me to be like, you still, the way you talk about all this confidence you have in yourself, that people talking about you, being light skinned when you were a child still affects you today. Could be Nate, but I'm not necessarily buying what you're selling. Alexis and Justin are cuddling and they keep showing us his bird chest child for whatever reason. She says as they talk, she knows exactly why they were matched. And it's cute that she's like, you don't even got my number. And he asks for her number and she's like, sir, I am married. Like, we not doing that. You shouldn't even be touching me. So it was real cute. I really like Alexis' personality so far. So now it's time for the spouses to meet with their in-laws. So first up is Stasha meeting with Nate's father and friend. She tells him that she is a workaholic working over 10 hours a day. His dad asks what she would think if basically Nate wanted her to slow down. And she says she's already really working on that and taking some things off of her plate. But she says she's had to sacrifice a lot to really try to build things up in the very beginning. His friend says that they will both need to be patient with each other because they both seem to be so independent. And I 1000% agree. And I think that may be the downfall of the two of them, is that they're so independent that they're going to have a hard time figuring out when they can lean and depend on each other. His dad says, that's my son. Just don't break his heart. And I said, sir, your son is for the streets. Okay. Tell him don't break her heart. Right. Nate then meets with Stasha's beautiful mom and two of her friends. Her friend asks basically how long he's willing to wait for sex. It's not y'all business. And he says he just wants for it to be natural. And the only thing I could think of was, of course, one, it's not their business, but two, friend, her mama is sitting right here. Why did you think that question was appropriate for her mama sitting right here for this man that she has not known for a full day yet? Read the room, y'all. Read the room. Her mom asks if there's something that Stasha doesn't know. And I was like, well, there's a lot she doesn't know, Mom. So let's get a better question than that next time. And his response is basically a dissolve of a business that had to happen between, I think, him and a partner. And I was just like, okay, Nate. Her friend then asks about basically, his family and what he desires. He says that he really tended to gravitate towards his friends and their families because he really did not have that dynamic. He starts to tear up as he's talking about it because he was like, I believe he said that he had only met his mother once. And of course, spending most of the time with his dad. So he really think what's important now is really creating the family that he wanted to have when he was growing up. So Mitch meets with Kristen's friends and mother. Her mother asks, what are your intentions with my daughter? And I'm like, ma'am, he has already married your daughter. Can we please stop with this question? His intentions was to make her a wife, point blank in the period, okay? But anyways, he said he will give 100% of himself all the time. And his intention is to make her happy. And that pacifies the mom. And she's like, I love it. Great answer. They say Kristen is a really good person. She isn't bougie, and Mitch has to tell us, that the more down to earth she is, the more attractive she became. Like, so what are you trying to say? When she spruced herself up the most on her wedding day when she was least attractive, Mitch? They asked about why his other relationships didn't work out. He says he wasn't being true to who he really was because he kind of was a closet environmentalist. So I guess he felt like he couldn't share that piece of himself with his other relationships. He says his wife does not have to be as extreme as he is, but just supportive of him. His mom says it may be a challenge for him because he would really need to divide his time with spending time with her and then making sure that he's still able to, do what he is completely passionate about, which is saving our planet. So Kristen is with Mitch's mom, brother, and sister-in-law. And y'all, this conversation right here, the red flags was all over the floor, okay? But she asks, what they wants to know. She talks about her dating history and how hard it's been to find someone. And she really wanted someone that was not into playing games and really wanted the same thing she did. She asks for advice about him, and his brother says he is a rebel. His sister-in-law says that he lets pride get the best of him. Mom says that he can be brutally honest, which to me means that Mitch will think he can say whatever he wants to say under the guise of, I'm just being honest, that's all. I'm just telling you the truth. And I got the vibes from the sister-in-law. She don't really care for Mitch like that. Like, I don't know if they had a rocky past and they good now, but all I could get from her was vibes was, girl, good luck. And if you really want the tea about Mitch, come holla at me after this show. I'm going to slide you my number and I'll let you know why he is still, darn near 40 and still single. You better get with the sister-in-law and let her talk to you, girl. So next we see Alexis with Justin's mom and friend, and mama asks how the night was, and y'all know Alexis at this point. She'll have no filter of the mouth. And she says, don't worry, your son is still celibate. Alexis. So Alexis asks about his previous engagement, and mom doesn't really give us any further details. She's just like, one day we kind of went shopping for a dress, and then the next day he kind of called her crying and upset. So still very vague, don't really know what happened. Alexis then has to tell them that she's been proposed to multiple times, but she said no each time. And of course they're like, well, why, girl? What is happening? She says she was being selfish. She had these unrealistic expectations, and she really wasn't sure if she could spend the rest of her life with these people that proposed to her. And quite frankly, any of that is good enough to say no. The last thing you want to do is to just get married for the sake of getting married, and then you miserable, child. Divorce is expensive, okay? But now she says she's dived, headfirst into marriage, and she feels like she is ready, and she definitely wants to do things differently. His mom lets her know that Justin can be a bit sensitive, so just be careful with him. Justin meets with Alexis' mom and sisters, and one sister starts to ask how he responds in anger. He tells him that he isn't emotional. He's like, child, I will cry with her, okay? But I will make sure, she's okay. I will make sure she is happy. I'm a natural pleaser, so I just want to make sure that she is pleased. Her sister then tells him basically that because they were raised by their mom, that she all really raised them to be very vocal. So Alexis can be very, very vocal in how he plans to advocate for himself. And he says he's a pleaser, but basically if he is only a pleaser if he is receiving it as well. And I was just like, but does that really answer the question she asked you? I didn't think so. But her sister asked what he would do if it doesn't work out. And he was like, well, we can't just walk away. And I was just like, but you can. It's called an 8-week experiment. So you can indeed just walk away, Justin. So Miguel meets with Lindy's family and friends, including her annoying ass brother, y'all. Her brother says she takes a lot of things personal, even if it is not intentional, which can cause her to lash out. This child acts like she is 16 years old. So the brother then brings up the Bible. Y'all know what he did during the honeymoon, during the reception. And says that the Bible says when you have sex with someone, it's of course because you know them and you have this connection and everything. So of course, y'all don't know each other. It hasn't been even 24 hours. And then the mom chimes in and she says, basically getting to know each other is key. And the brother's like, you should just take your time. And in my mind, I'm like, but none of this is any of y'all's business. It's not your business. Like, it made me so angry because I'm like, this has nothing to do with what either one of y'all want. If Lindy want to bend it over and bust it open for Miguel, she can do that, okay? And ain't nothing neither one of y'all can say about that, right? Who y'all get on my nerves. His brother then asks what caused his past relationships to fail. Basically, Miguel says, it was either cheating or some misalignment, and mostly I was the one that broke it off. And he asks, basically this will be, if he wonders if this will be an issue with his sister. And I'm like, again, y'all, it has been 24 hours. Y'all are acting like it's even been 30 days. Like, give these people time to talk about these things that you are asking them about. He then says that it's kind of an issue that Miguel is in his mid-30s and hasn't been married. He's kind of acting like this is a red flag. And I'm like, your sister is only a few years behind Miguel. So are you putting these same standards on her as well, sir? The brother gets on my nerves. This is like almost like Sriracha 2.0. And I ain't really care for Sriracha. And I'm not caring for Lindy's brother. Because people just keep overstepping their boundaries here. So Lindy then meets with his friends and family. And the sister says, I'm really into, astrological signs and things like that. And he's a Cancer. She's a Gemini. And they are not compatible. So I am concerned. Girl, shut up. Shut up, okay? She then says Miguel is a hopeless romantic and she doesn't want his feelings to get hurt. So, it'll be a bit of a compromise for the both of them. She says that her brother makes a good living and she wants to know, basically, are you bringing a lot of debt to the table? I'm like, can you give your brother time to talk to his new wife about these things, okay? So Lindy lets her know that she has a lot of student loan debt, and they said basically that Miguel is the type of person that he's really thoughtful and kind, and he would really just help her to give her advice on paying down that debt quickly. But of course, she already is like, this already kind of brings me anxiety, and I was already afraid to be in a relationship, and nobody was going to want me because of all this debt. And I'm just like, y'all just don't even know how y'all are just feeding into this child's anxiety right now. Anyway, Lindy says right now she's just living life, and she's, not really working that much because she just wants to enjoy life. Miguel's sister is like, Miguel is kind of really structured and she just really doesn't want him to feel financially strained or feel like it is a burden. And again, y'all, I'm just so confused as to why these families feel like they can cross these boundaries with these spouses so soon. Like, you probably know they have not had a chance to talk about these things. Why don't you give them that personal time to talk about these things such as finances and sex and things like that before y'all just try to go in for no reason? That was very, very annoying. And at this point, I'm still looking for this last raggedy wedding. Like, where is the wedding? Married at First Sight. Anyway, everyone recaps their experience with their family and friends to their spouse. Nate shares that he cries and he was like, yeah, I think your family knew it was real once I started crying. And I was like, what? So that, again, makes me feel this was all a performance for him. He plays an act and he tries to do things that he knows will make him look like the good guy. When, again, I feel like he's for the streets. Nate is for the streets. Kristen shares basically how they called Mitch a rebel, and he agrees. Lindy says the hardest part was really the financial conversation, and says, he says he does not want to be a sugar daddy and really hopes that she can pay off her student loan debts in a timely fashion. And I was just like, yeah, I get it. But also, I'm not one of these people that's in no rush, because if one of these presidents ever decide they want to forget off these student loans, who am I to then give them all of my hard-earned money when somebody wants to forgive these loans? That's all I got to say. But also, Lindy girl, you've gone to medical school and such, so you probably have, of course, a lot more debt than most of us regular folk, and you just seem to be leisurely working. Like, I'm gonna need you to get to work and make the kind of money you can make and pay these student loans down just a little bit, and not just live life so freely at this point in your life. Okay? So Alexis and Justin, they catch up. Alexis is back with her box braids, honey, because anytime it is honeymoon time, somebody is gonna get some braids if it's a black girl on scene. Okay? So they all receive their little honeymoon packages, and they are going to Mexico, and Alexis is just having a hard time struggling with Puerto Vallarta. I struggle with it too. My mouth, my lips, my tongue, it just don't want to say it either, Alexis. So I get you, girl. I get you. The rest of the couples pop their little poppers that was in their basket. Nate, of course, he cannot pop the popper because he's like, I clean these up, on the beach all the time. Sir, y'all are not on the beach. Y'all are inside an enclosed space where you can pop the popper, sweep up the stuff, and put it in the trash. Okay? Quit being a party pooper at this point. So Alexis and Justin are packing up. She shows him, her little favorite bathing suit. He loves it. She says, if he with it, I'm with it. Let's get it. I said, okay, Alexis, you ready to get it popping? So finally, Ben's COVID test is negative, and we can get this last wedding done, y'all. While the other couples are headed to the airport to leave for the honeymoon, they're ready to meet each other for the first time once they get to the airport. So they arrive in Mexico. They start the trip off with some drinks. They all discuss their first impressions of the wedding. So Mitch tells them that Kristen's mom looks really young and how he originally thought that was his wife. Alexis says she came down the aisle and was excited he was tall, and that they actually matched on a dating app but never went on a date because she didn't respond. And I said, is that because you really didn't like him? I mean, just a question, but that's the vibe that I was getting, is that you match with somebody. It's like after you match, you're like, I don't know, maybe not so much. But she says he is perfect and she would have hated to miss out. Y'all sure throwing around a lot of these words of perfect. He's the best mate for me. I am just really loving this person. I'm like, y'all throwing around a whole lot, and y'all have only known each other 48 hours. Like, you always excited within those first few weeks of any type of relationship usually. So I'm just, want y'all just to not get too much ahead of yourself, okay? So Nate says he's pretty confident, but he really didn't get nervous until she walked down the aisle. But once he saw her, he was like, man, we good, okay? And they've already started finding out how similar they are. They finish each other's sentences, and they really are just kind of the same person. And she was like, his friends are like, I'm just the female version of him. And I was just like, y'all only know each other's surface level at this point. Stop it. Lindy says she found that when she was comfortable with Miguel, that was outside of her norm, that they really have physical chemistry. And basically Miguel lets us know that he kind of tried to make a move and Lindy shut it down, okay? She says she just wants to get to know him, and sex is just a really big deal for her. We know that just dancing is a really big deal for her. Basically, all the other couples say the same thing. They're just waiting to get to know each other. And I'm like, child, the minute all y'all start flowing with these drinks, this rum and tequila, it's going to be popping, okay? Then all the guys, except for Mitch, have to talk about how turned on they've gotten the past 2 nights, especially Justin. And I'm like, I'm sick of hearing about it already, sir. At this point, every episode, we have had to talk about your peeing, Justin. And I'm tired of it. I am just tired of it at this point. So all the couples get to their rooms, and Alexis is just so excited. I just love her personality. And the only thing I can think about is Y'all know who is probably salty about all these trips that they've been going on for the past couple seasons? Mirla. I bet you Mirla is watching all these other seasons and she is pissed that she didn't get to go to Mexico. Okay? So Kristen and Mitch, they're all dressed in their robes, sipping on champagne in bed. Mitch says he thinks that that he was matched well because although he didn't ask for it, he's found out that she is very assertive and he's a little more go with the flow. So he was like, I'm glad I got that because that was something I didn't know I actually needed. Kristen says that basically she really doesn't do traditional roles. So she's excited for them to continue to grow and learn about each other. He says he's a little more guarded usually, but he likes her, so he's getting more comfortable. She says, I don't really care how we're progressing. Like, I don't have a timeline about anything. Just as long as every day we're progressing, whether that's a little bit or a lot, I'm fine with us as long as we are moving forward. So Nate is ready to pop the champagne in their room, and he lets us know he hopes that, they consummate the marriage while on the honeymoon. And I'm just like, I wish people would just stop with this. We're gonna wait because we want to get to know each other, and we just don't want the sex to just be meaningless and just do it just to do it. I mean, he's still a stranger. I really don't know. Like, I'm so sick of this narrative because the minute then y'all get alone or y'all have a confessional or whatever, you just like, if he down, I'm down. If he want to get it poppin', I'm gonna get it poppin'. I mean, if she gonna bust it open, I'm gonna be. Y'all keep doing this. So why do we keep acting like this narrative of, oh, I'm just going to get to know? That's not what you want. You want to get down with the get down is what y'all really want to do. Anyway, she says she didn't want to have meaningless sex. And I'm like, at this point, we know it would be meaningless sex because y'all don't have feelings like that for each other. It is just strictly the physical chemistry at this point. So they end up getting in the shower together, child, and they are making out hot and heavy. We don't know what has happened, but all this that y'all saying is just talk. Like, your bodies are going to just take over and you do what it do, okay? So now it's finally time for Morgan's and Ben's wedding. She's happy and nervous. It's finally happening. Ben is actually getting married the day before his 30th birthday. He says because they missed a few days of the honeymoon because he had, the vid, that he's going to take her anywhere she wants for her second honeymoon. He's like, I know I can be a little bit cheap, but I'm going to take her anywhere she wants to go. Ben says that, his parents are cool with what he's doing basically because mama is ready for some grandkids, okay? Do what you got to do to get you a woman and pop these grandbabies out, basically is what she's telling him. So Morgan is talking with her friends and she says she hopes her husband is like her so that they can be equals. Her friend tells her that she will need to break her walls down and open up a bit since she is jumping right into marriage with no dating attached. Morgan and her bridesmaids then toast with what looks like mimosas with too much orange juice in it. She then lets us know that her mom should be on the way and is coming to the wedding, but she has a really rocky relationship with her dad and she does not involve him in her decision making, so he will not be there. And she also doesn't believe in allowing someone to give her away and she wants to give herself away. So Ben is all dressed and ready, and actually I love Ben's simple suit the most out of all the grooms that we've seen throughout this season. He says he really wants his mom's approval because, of course, he's a mama's boy, although his mom and dad have been together for decades. We then see Morgan get her gift from Ben, which we already know a James Allen ring will be included because they are sponsors of the show. But he ends up giving her also Pastor Cal's book, Marriage Ain't for Punks, and gives her a really thoughtful card, which was super sweet. And her ring was banging, okay? So now it's time for Ben to walk out. He has some flowers for his mom. She definitely lets him know once again, I'm really proud of you, but I'm ready for some grandkids. Mama ain't beating around the bush, okay? Ben then walks out while Morgan is still freaking out as she waits behind. And I'm like, you had all this extra time to shake these nerves off. Get it together, Morgan. Get it together. But she starts saying, the worst case scenario is that he hates me or his family hates me. And I'm like, Morgan, here we go again with the negative talk that you do to yourself. Like, you had already said you think this man was lying that he caught COVID so that he wouldn't have to get married when y'all were scheduled to get married. Like, girl, cut it out. Gather yourself. Morgan then finally walks out. They both smile once they see each other. They hug when they meet. We get the words that Ben's friends and family say about him. He's loving. He has a master's degree, but he still doesn't know how to shave. He works out 5 days a week. And they hope that she is ready to share him with the number one woman in his life, which is his mama, okay? Because he values her opinion on everything. Ben, you going to learn to have to make some boundaries with mama, okay? She'll need to know everything that's going on in your house, all right? So Morgan's friend says that she's a lover and a fighter. She also loves her cat and she loves for things to be done her way. But she is compassionate. She likes to play video games. And of course, she loves her Muay Thai, which Ben was like, okay, I see you, girl. They exchange vows and Ben memorized his vows. I was like, Ben said, I had COVID, so I had time. So I had memorized these vows. And I was like, Ben, you better strike this pearly white smile that you got going on and show her that Ben, I like you. You might be cheap, but so far I like you, okay? And besides, he's kind of only the eye candy we have this season, okay? But anyway, they say I do, exchange rings, they're pronounced husband and wife, and they kiss, y'all. Morgan and Ben then pop open the champagne and toast once they get alone, and they toast an amazing relationship. And she is like, oh, he is really cute. Like, I find him really attractive. And I said, girl, we do too. He is a little cutie, okay? He asks about her tattoo, and she talks about her roots in Japan. And he says, you know, he loves Japan, and well, he loves Tokyo in Japan. So maybe that can be their second honeymoon stop once they actually get through the first one, okay? He tells her that he wants to be financially free one day to be able to just enjoy life. And he tells her that, you know, when she asks what he does for work, that he's an engineer at his day job. But basically, he really does not get fulfilled in that. So he does the personal training to get that extra fulfillment. She, of course, loves it because she loves to work out and she trains multiple days a week. But she also lets him know that because of my Muay Thai, I can basically tackle you down to the ground right now if I wanted to. I'm not. But if I wanted to, just be prepared. Don't play with me, okay? So then after that, the episode goes off. We get a preview of what's to come this season. And child, it looks like Justin tells Alexis he loves her on the honeymoon. And I'm like, please don't let that be the case. We didn't see two dogs about to fight. We didn't see Miguel getting a little firm. We didn't see Nate is throwing a complete tantrum and cussing. And I'm just like, the season, it should get interesting, y'all. After we kind of get these honeymoons rocking and rolling, let's get, you know, a day or two under our belt in the honeymoon. Then after that, hopefully we have some real drama popping off, okay? Hopefully it'll get a little bit interesting at that point. And then let Ben and Morgan join the crew as well, y'all. So let me know what y'all thought about the episode this week. Don't forget to leave your comments down below, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.